Causando.
Alright. We got some
Have you seen
practice.
Kev's post on the forum,
Time
Tony?
before the race starts.
For last night's race?
Yes.
You naughty boy, you.
What a miss.
Guts.
Yeah.
Let's trying something with my chair. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, I actually was, because I didn't know the track at all. I was
Yeah.
mostly of the time beside the track.
Yeah.
Have I
that's
got
why I
something to
didn't.
look forward to then?
You got 10-second penalty for qualifying. Or you would have.
Okay.
You would have a 10-second penalty.
I'll have to look at my replays next. I didn't think I was that bad. But...
Yeah.
So it was my fastest time that was off track.
Yeah, mate.
Okay, I'll have a look at that.
As far as I know, I mean, Kev's down there. You can have a word with him, but they're not going to get applied. Obviously, it's just this is what would have happened.
No, I take that on the chin. That circuit just didn't agree with me at all.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't race it. I'm not keen on that place at all, and I'd had no practice whatsoever. So.
I don't like tracks that have that much open area. I would prefer walls,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say, Woody, that you're a sausage fan?
A sausage fan.
Walls.
Ah,
Balls.
I see what you've done there. Can you not run batch files in Windows 10?
I don't know, mate. Yeah, I presume you can.
You can. But sometimes the permissions are a dog. You have to right click him and run as administrator. Usually. So I tend to create a shortcut to it, and then right click the shortcut and tell it to run it as administrator, and then you can just double click the shortcut and it runs like normal.
Good idea, that man.
Did you just call him Batman?
That man.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay,
Batman,
Robin.
be son.
Nearly hit you there, sorry Andy.
No problem.
Yeah, Neil won't be with us tonight, will he? Is his pedals that broke?
No, he said to me he's suffering from his condition as well.
That'll be the weather.
Yeah.
Steve, any news about Wilbur?
As far as I've heard from Kev, he's stable.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I've been worried all day as well, mate.
27
Yeah,
off tracks.
I
Holy crap.
Very bad.
And does anybody know how old he is?
Ooh. No.
And Wilbert's in his 20s, isn't he?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So his dad roughly would be what, in his 50s maybe?
Yeah.
Late 40s?
Yeah.
God, they're still doing 213. machines, though. So at least nobody's doing 211s, but it's hard to know what everybody's racing on right now. In terms of tires and fuel and whatnot.
Oh yeah, and just so you're all aware, when I go back through the replay, if I catch people consistently using the slowdown to their advantage in certain corners, I'm going to treat it like they're cutting the track.
Okay.
Wait, what was that? I missed that.
You made a very good point out.
Was it my point? Alright.
Yeah, with regards to that, the slowdown and braking.
Okay. I mean, we have raced this track before and not had issues really with it.
What the hell was that all about?
It was just so I wasn't tempted to.
No, it's a very valid point. I mean, generally I've noticed that almost everybody drives really smooth and carefully anyway. But if it does start getting used, then yeah, I'll treat it the same as a cut, and so points can be taken from it.
Doesn't the car pull to one side when you do it that way?
Like that.
Yeah, it's balanced and it just works. It seems to cut power and apply some sort of, well, it's not so much braking, it's just it slows the car without using brakes. But pretty much as rapidly as braking.
Who was bumping into my car like that? Really, I want to know.
I don't
I
remember.
think it was me and you bumping together. You were pulling over to the left, and I was on the left.
Is it lagging?
No,
That was really strange because I didn't do any input on my steering wheel, so.
Hashtag
are,
issues.
Still working on netcode, by the way, so
Maybe it was a netcode, I don't know.
quite possibly, mate. And as I say, after that incident in Australia, was it? Was it
Yeah.
Australia? Yeah.
yeah.
Because that was a weird one, that was.
That was one of the worst netcodes I've seen for a long time, that one. It predicted a crash about 15 feet before there was a crash.
Damn.
Andy really suffered in that one. How long have we got left, Steve?
I'm on my way in now, mate.
Oh, yeah, I would love your internet.
Right side, I've gotten right back into my pace, so we should be able to get
You wouldn't like where I live, though, mate.
right on top of it.
There was a load of commotion in the street the other night. And
Load
I thought,
commotion?
yeah, I thought it was up the road. It wasn't. It was actually them lads across the road. You know, them lads with the scooter.
Alright.
And yeah, coppers and ambulance and everything. But it looks like they're dealing, and yeah, you know, we can only surmise, you know. But apparently it all kicked off. So yeah, given the choice, mate. Yeah. Given the choice, mate, I'd sooner be with you or and have shitty internet,
Right.
mate.
The problem is, though, Steve, if you were there, there'd be too much sheep wrestling going on.
Yeah.
They swap out to cows near the local farmer, so they're a bit too tall. He'd have to walk around with a step ladder under his arm.
Just remind me, Pete, where did we race last race? Was it
Albert Park.
It was Albert Park, was it?
Yeah.
My parents live in Braunston.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to
I
live
feel
there.
like I'm so
many,
slow
many
at a
years ago,
220.
mate.
Yeah, 211. Like how? How is he doing 211s?
No.
So are you Leicester born then?
No, not at all. We lived in Berwick upon Tweed when I was a wee lad.
Right.
And then when I moved up to Glasgow, my parents moved down to Leicester.
Okay.
They've been there for about 16, 17 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to live in a cul-de-sac in Braunston. It was quite nice, actually.
I love your accent.
I legitimately have no idea how they're doing these times.
It's not in Nathan's.
It's just Nathan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite freaky that you can hear Woody coming onto him.
Now we live just outside the city, in Ayleston. You know, the area's not bad, but as I say, it's just, you know, it's youths of today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Try to see if there's anything specifically different some of these guys are doing.
This is the heaviest 25 kilos I've ever raced with.
Have I got ballast on then now? Hey.
Yes you do, mate.
It's secretly 25 ton. Watch out.
I think it might just be the way I've got. I had to make 2 different setups for this race. I'm still having
Let me
that.
just double check that you've got the right. It says 25.
Yeah, it is 25, you can see it. Still having the terrible front end raining.
I don't see anything in particular that I'm doing
Stop driving so fast.
differently.
Well, I'm starting to think that it's gonna definitely have to be me that changes, because I don't think I can do anything more with the setup. I think I need to open up my steering lock and be a bit smoother.
Try taking your front wing off as well.
It's gone. I've got
You've got 0.
barely any wind, no toe. What else have I got?
Is your coast diff low or high?
Where is it? Only 30%.
I suppose you could raise that a bit, it'd stop it from rotating this quick.
It's 50. I don't know. I hate using the diff.
So it's full.
I know, yeah.
Like nothing.
I always steer clear of it because
Nothing in that lap looked different from what I do. Like it's so. I'm not sure. I legitimately just don't know what to do differently. Let's do. Excuse me. Let's do that. I want to try the suspension first because I like how stiff the car feels front to rear in terms of the ARBs.
Power.
Right, you're raising the
Gotta
power.
figure out
that
something.
means it takes
Yeah,
less
I know.
power to
I know, but
lock the
as
diff.
I say, I wasn't going to argue with him. You know, I just
so
know
far off pace.
that if I raise the diff on the power coming out the corners, I'll tend to spin it out. If I lowered it, I can control it. So
Having a low diff on power coming out the corners will heat up the inside tyre a lot more than the outside because it'll spin at a different rate.
Yeah.
Which is why that McLaren used to have real bad issues with that left rear.
Let's see if this feels any better on turn-in. Not really on
Trust me, I'm
turn-in.
certainly not missing on Nissan tonight.
Through the corner, more or less, I guess.
I wasn't feeling the McLaren around here anyway.
Ooh.
Probably stay in third for that.
Sorry,
corner.
mate, I tried to keep out your way.
If it's not,
Oh no,
it's
I just
right on the edge.
braked about.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to the track, mate.
I know after that, the day after the last race, me and Ross had probably already completed 2 race distances round you, hadn't we?
Well, Andy's done about 10. Unbelievable commitment to training. Well, I think that diff is definitely even in the tyre wear, but I don't know if it's reducing it overall.
I don't know, you can tell, mate, he's doing a long run, and you don't really have time to do a long run.
Well, no, 1 lap. Previously what was happening, I was getting 1 lap in and I was going down to about 99.3% on the fronts, and then it stayed at like 99.5,
Right, let's see
and
if we can
already
do this lap.
0.2% per percent. So at the end of one big long stint, I had full down to 90. I can't read past 90% on this app, and my rear still had 95, 96. So there was a huge imbalance.
Though you might find now if it's evening it between front and rear, that the car will naturally become a bit more smooth for you.
Oh, car is so much better there. Oh, the car is so much better through that corner. Holy cow.
Like, you don't have that problem with the Nissan, because you want to steer off the front and then you light up the rears. So they're always red hot.
It's much
It's
better for
weird
that corner.
Nissan doesn't
Can't
have
go
an
that wide
adjustable
though.
aero package is the same as all the other ones in the GT3 class.
That's way too wide there.
But they gave it an engine, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's not out of the realms compared to the other car's engine's capability. It's just why it wasn't having a proper adjustable aero, I don't know.
I'm already 2 seconds
I
faster
reckon
this lap,
it's
so
because Nissan know better than most of the drivers.
being good in that third or
they
fourth
fixed
corner
it
is a
and
good
they've
idea.
gone, fuck you can't change it. Are we going to see a BMW lockout tonight?
Have a look to see if Live Races is working on the site, Pete.
For Assetto?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I didn't know Live Racers had an
Well,
Assetto Corsa version.
it seems to be working.
Go to results and then just go on live, is it, whatever?
Oh, the live map. No map available.
No.
There are. It's working. It's just there's no map.
That's okay, it's logging me in there then.
Yep.
Hey, I knocked
It's
2
okay.
seconds off my time with that. Alright. So, with that in mind, I'm going to do the same thing to the qualifying setup.
So many absent drivers tonight. There's some decent points up for grabs, guys.
Oh. Alright, before qualifying starts, because I don't think there's a warm-up, I'm going to go use the restroom and refill my water real quick, so I will be back very shortly.
Yeah, the blue paint slows you down, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the track is fucking hugely wide.
Oh, fucking hell.
Is it 30 laps tonight?
28.
20.
28, yeah.
28 is
Oh,
it?
28.
Yeah.
I thought it was 30. My bad.
That's all right. It works out to just be about a minute and a half over the hour. That including the pit stop as well. Although I did do the formula without that pit app. So that pit app does take a fair few seconds off you farting about. Yeah, the cars look so slow on this track.
We are good to go. I tossed the qualifying setup on, right? Yeah, I did. Also, it's really raining very, very hard. Hopefully nothing crazy happens with the internet, but it's always a possibility. Alright, we'll go ahead and feel the car out on this setup. Oh, I forgot to change my name. I keep wanting to change my name for these events. Keep forgetting. But the car is so much more pointy when it's low on fuel. Just that one click softer on both fronts, and it gets through that corner real nice now. Also, they already said earlier that if people are seen abusing the slowdown from the off-track area, they'll count it like a corner cut. So there might be some penalties after this one. There's a lot of people really utilizing that. But again, with REVS, I wouldn't expect that. Most of these guys want to just get a really good, solid, clean race in. Have a bit of fun driving hard. I have not practiced pit in. I'll probably do it at the end of qualifying. It's one of those things that it's usually the last thing on my mind, but it's usually something that I do practice because it's over to the... It shouldn't be too hard here, though. You basically just take these last two corners on the inside of the track there instead of the outside, and then the pit exit is easy as long as you don't get to it, so it shouldn't be too bad. And again, since it's Assetto Corsa and it doesn't have pit speeding penalties, it doesn't have them, you just floor it into the pits and still it forces you to come down to speed. Unlike Race Room, where you have to get down to speed as you enter the pits. You will get that penalty. Alright, here we go with qualifying.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Guys doing 211s and 212s are crazy. We'll see what I can manage to squirt out. I think I'm just going to wait at the end of pit lane here for a good gap. Most of the guys in here, I mean, the vast majority of them are European in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, there are a lot of British individuals in this series. A lot of ridiculously fast people, too. I think there's one AMG. I don't know if the person who's driving it is here today, though. Alright, this should be a nice big gap. It'll give me a chance to practice a start. Alright. Let's see how disappointing I am. Still not quite sure if it's better to just hug this all the way around or pull it in tight right at the end like that. Really, I should probably be much nicer to my tires on this outlap since it's at 400%. They don't wear that much, all things considered. It's definitely third gear. Hey, that would be awesome. I mean, REVS, it's a bunch of very fun people, so regardless of if I'm there or not, it's very much worth checking out if their time frames work for you. Whoop. Yeah, that's the tough part for most people. Again, if you're in the US, these times just don't work for very many people. If you're in the UK, it all depends on your work schedule. Because in the UK right now, it's past 8 p.m. So for most people who work normal hours, even on weekdays, their schedule works pretty well for them. It depends on which curb. The sausage curbs are just, you're not supposed to hit those. Especially with how stiff I have the setup. Basically, the stiffer the setup, the less you should try to use the curbs. Unless they're very, very, very flat like this. Like this curb you can use all the time because it's just exceptionally flat. First flying lap here. The car still feels just as nice as yesterday. I was really afraid that the that I would have the same issue I had with that Viper. The car feels just as good as it did yesterday, which is awesome. Actually a little bit better because I softened the front a tiny bit, which really helped it turn through a couple of the corners. As it can turn in and through quite a few of the corners better. Oddly enough, the only place I actually have to quote-unquote focus around this track is actually the straightaways, as odd as that sounds. The corners flow together nicely enough that you just sort of know where you're at, remember where you're at, and you can feel where you're at on track. But the straights, because they're a little windy, it's easy to accidentally wander to the side of the track and hit that slow down area. But the rest of the circuit's actually quite fine. Still brake a little bit too early for that last corner. 217, that's not good enough. That's only a second off of my full tank pace. Got enough fuel for one more lap, like exactly one more lap. So we see what we can do this time. That's better through there. That's such an important corner sequence to get right, because you're flat all the way through this. And I just get mountains of understeer on the exit. A little too early for that. Yeah, I'm losing most of that time. Wide there. Evidently I didn't lose time in that one though. That's gonna be wide. I'm just pushing it a little too hard now. Trying to make up time that I don't need to. Well, that was good through there. Basically, as soon as I recognized that I was pushing a little too hard, it started coming back to me a bit. Ugh, the exit to that corner is so much tougher than it seems. Scrubbed a little bit of speed off there, so it went just over the curb. Ooh, I think I found a really good brake point for that last corner. That was better. 16.9, I took another second off. It was much better. Now the car itself is fine around here. I mean, again, it probably looks different than it feels, but it actually feels quite nice around this track. I didn't have enough fuel to go all the way around. I literally have just enough fuel to do an out lap and 2 hot laps, and it should run out basically right as I cross the line for the second hot lap. There's a Merc, by the way, so we do have at least one, the new Mercedes AMG. That was the other car I was going to pick. I wish I had figured out the traction control and stiffening thing before the season started, because it would have been nice to test a lot of these cars with stiff setups and traction control off, since that really brings them completely to life. Because I still might have ended up with the McLaren, but I probably would have ended up with either the AMG or the Audi. Because I have a very strong feeling that that Mercedes AMG would really spring to life if you put a stiff setup on it. Seems like the type of car that would love that. Oh. Again, I really should be taking this out lap much easier than I am. There's also the thing that this McLaren doesn't really heat its tires as much as I'd like. It's still weird to me, the bottom left indicator, like the string on the very bottom of the track, of the screen works fine. But the bottom left indicator works brilliantly in the race itself, but doesn't work at all in qualifying or practice. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know what it is with the data that it gathers, but it's always wrong in qualifying. I was getting ready to say that's unfortunate if I have to try and follow him there. I'm not great when I'm right behind somebody in qualifying. I'd say most people aren't great when they have to follow somebody in qualifying. You really want that clean view, clean track. Free space to do exactly what you need in each corner, the way that you're used to doing it. Ooh, oh, I just clipped that inside a little bit. It's gonna really hurt my time through there. Their new system, it's actually, once you read into it a little bit, it's not that hard to understand. It'd be interesting to see if it actually accomplishes anything. But basically, the first 5 minutes of qualifying go as normal, everybody just does their times. I sort of understand why they're doing it too. I'll get to that in a minute. But effectively the first 5 minutes are normal, then after that point the slowest car starts getting eliminated every minute after that. Now what will be interesting to see is how that works with cars that are on hot laps when that minute comes in. If it's the times that you have set at that point, or what. Because for some tracks, I would assume it's... Because if they have to finish hot laps, then it's going to take forever. But if they don't let you finish hot laps, then it's going to be really awkward for many cars. And there's going to be 2 or 3 cars on some circuits that get eliminated before they even have a chance to respond in terms of lap time. So I'm not sure how that's all going to end up working out. It'll be interesting to see, if nothing else. But what I want to get to, the important bit of information that most people are ignoring, what they're actually trying to do, and it's kind of a, when you really think about it, it's a semi-clever way to do it. I don't know how it'll work. I want to see it in action before I really give it a big thumbs up or thumbs down. But what they're really trying to do is they're trying to force the teams to get on track for all of qualifying. Because right now in Q1, the first 6 minutes are pointless. Nobody goes out. Nobody wants to go out. Then all of a sudden there's a big rush. A bunch of teams go out. Same thing with Q3. Q2 is a little more even where everybody does 2 runs. But Q3, no action, huge rush, bunch of cars. No action, huge rush, bunch of cars. And they're trying to facilitate a system which encourages cars to be out on track all the time through the entire qualifying session. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm more than willing to give it a shot. Because if you had told me, with the old qualifying system, if you then go to this new qualifying system that they've had for many years, which is probably the best qualifying anywhere, with the knockout qualifying, if you told me that they were going to switch from traditional qualifying to that, I probably would have been like, that seems a bit gamey. So as with most things, I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't think it will actually accomplish much of what they want it to, but we'll see. It might be interesting, it might not. It's interesting to see how it does. It's going to be incredibly hard to convince the general public that it's even worth trying, though. Because F1 fans are just horrible. Like, you think gaming fans are horrible, just look at the F1 subreddit comments sometimes. It's just a bunch of, I know exactly how to fix F1, you do this, 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 and this. Why are they bothering to do this? All you have to do is this, 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 and this. It's like, if it were that easy, they would have just done that. Like, you have a bunch of teams and engineers and drivers and sponsors and money wrapped up in it. So of course it's not going to be that easy. An 18 too, that was terrible. Alright, we're just going to practice our pit in. Probably be able to do it twice here. See, I would absolutely hate that wrestler. The thing I like most about F1, in all honesty, is their knockout qualifying format, where all the cars are out there. At the time, you have to deal with traffic, you have to deal with other cars, you have to try and pick your spot, you have to try and pick your strategy. Like, it makes qualifying its own metagame, so to speak, amidst all of the other stuff that's going on. And it's one of the things I love about their qualifying format. I mean, if you look back in the 90s, they had that format of qualifying, that traditional one car at a time, and it was effing boring because it's the worst way to run qualifying ever. Even IndyCar has adopted part of knockout qualifying. They already do go as fast. I mean, you only have 10 cars on an enormous circuit. They don't interact with each other in Q3 very often. It's very, very rare for any car to impact another in Q3. So they already realistically have that. It's just, it all happens at once instead of... The other thing is, when you actually have one car on track at a time, it takes so much longer. So much longer. Because instead of having the top 10 qualify in 10 minutes, you'd have them qualify over like 30 to 40 minutes. And I would just want to shoot myself. Like, in all honesty, what most broadcasts would probably end up doing is broadcasting Q1 and Q2, and then cutting their broadcast there and then just recapping Q3 for the next race. That's honestly what would probably end up happening. What would end up happening. Alright, we're practicing pit entry this time. Alright, so you can still exit all the way full there. Alright, evidently it is a good idea to practice that. That last corner is a bit tighter than I expected. Rustler. So again, in terms of the new qualifying, I'm more than willing to at least give it a shot and see what happens with it before I'm gonna decry it. I don't think it's gonna do what they really want it to do, but we'll see. When did NASCAR abandon single-car qualification? Because that would actually make me interested in their qualifying, because with their laps only being like 30 seconds, it'd be amazing to see all of those cars try and set qualifying times. The other neat thing when you don't qualify alone, one of the neat things about that is you also have a situation where the other cars on track directly influence your qualifying, whether they're balking you or whether they're giving you a draft. So it might give some cars an opportunity to do a bit better than they would otherwise. I think you have the exact opposite, Rustler. I mean, again, qualifying for other series that do normal qualifying sessions doesn't get broadcast at all because it's horrendous to watch. Or it gets broadcast on some channel that nobody cares about or knows about. I mean, one of the few exceptions is Indy 500 qualifying because it's so vital. And because their format is interesting. It takes forever. It takes 3 days. But it's a very interesting format where everybody goes out, but only the top... I think they lock in the top 15 the first day, then the next 10... Actually, no, it would be 15-15, and then you fight for the last 3 spots for an entire day. And it just creates such a crazy, hectic scenario on that last day. But that's literally one of the few examples of traditional qualifying that gets broadcast. Again, you might find a channel that bothers to broadcast the other sessions, but it's not going to be very frequent. Oh, I was the last one on track.
Alright guys, congratulations.
Luck.
Good luck for everybody.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck, guys.
Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Alright, I have my pit stop set. We're going to assume no damage. Well, we'll do that. Alright. Here we go. We'll see how it does. I think the sponsors would eat it up. The teams wouldn't like it. The drivers wouldn't like it. And the fans would hate it. And that's the big thing that would keep it from happening. Again, the money behind F1 would love it because they get their sponsors out there. But even so, even if you look at other qualifying, many times when the cars that nobody cares about are out on track, they'll just talk about something else, or they'll show a video, or they'll do something else. So simply being the only car on track does not guarantee that you will get airtime. It's so hard to see when there's that many cars in one space. So I just broke real early. Well, Zando just kept coming over. Whether there was room or not. That was frustrating. Oh, that was a stressful start. That was way too early on the brakes. Ooh, that Z4 behind me is fast in a straight line. Oh, he backed out of it, though. Oh, I went a little bit deep. I can't quite brake at the same point that I was at qualifying. Also need to save my tires a little bit, if I can. One of the big difficulties with those Z4s is they're always going to be good in the corners. So if somebody else has a setup that makes them good in a straight line, they become pretty tough to beat. I'll just let him have the inside. I'm pretty sure he's got to be faster than me. Oh, I actually got through there better than he did. That's surprising. I'm actually going to start lifting here a little bit to save my tires. Just that tiny bit. Ah! I hate that off-track area so much. Luckily that didn't do very much damage. Woohoo! My tires aren't hot, but that felt slippery. That was a bit too much of that curb. I'll have to be careful with that. That actual sausage curb there doesn't seem to do very much. I don't know that, I don't know. Like, I have Assetto Corsa installed. I don't use it because I don't like it. I don't like how big and bright and flashy and annoying it is to have on the screen. I think it should definitely be a very encouraged suggestion for a lot of people, but I also think it tends to create an over-reliance on its own use. And I'm not really, very similar to the racing line. It's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of using racing lines, because I think as soon as you get an over-reliance on that racing line, you'll just get so used to always having it that as soon as you take it away, you can't see the lines yourself. You can't feel where the grip is because you're so reliant on having that line there. And very similarly with Assetto Corsa, if you can't feel cars around you in the first place, then constantly relying on that isn't necessarily going to help. Looks like a lot of these guys have better race pace than I do. Which doesn't really surprise me considering the times I saw. But the fact that I'm actually down on top speed is odd. I mean, I've got 2 on the rear wing. I guess I could have gone to 0. That just seems silly. The other thing I don't know right now is how much fuel everybody's carrying. Well, that sucked for me. That was not very nice of Mr. Burrows there. And I'm not quite sure why I'm so far down on straight line speed, unless I should have gone 0 on the wing. Which is very possible. It does suck though, that basically cost me 3 positions. Because I just couldn't tell what was going to happen, so I overreacted. But then the off-track area around here is just awful. Most of them are getting out of that last corner better than I am also. Which makes a really huge difference. your time around here. 'Cause it's such a long straight. Judging by the two that are behind me, Sando and Thomas, I'm guessing those are the two that got caught in that happening. Because they were both ahead of me before. Seems like many of these guys are just pulling away from me. Whoa! That was not good. Well, stuff like that keeps happening, giving me free positions. That's fine with me. I'm not sure why everybody goes so wide through here. I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter where you are in this straight, because it's flat out no matter where you are. Until you get to that braking zone. But you don't have to tap the brakes there, you can just lift. I learned something. Now later in the race I might have to tap the brakes a little bit. But at this point at least. Turns real nice through there. I just get so much understeer with the way that I take that, but that seems to be where I have to turn in for the corner. It's one of the reasons it'd be really nice if there were sort of like times where most people practice on the server so I could actually see what lines they were taking in certain places. It would just be so helpful to see what's different between what I'm doing and other people. Oh wow, that's how you're supposed to take that corner. Felt amazing. they're not dirty razors at all. Quite the opposite, actually. Ooh, that felt amazing. Basically, if I can get that turn in just right, it feels awesome. This is Sochi. Seems like most of the guys here have stabilized their pace. I'm still too slow in a straight line, which blows my mind. Wait, who dive bombed me? There hasn't been anybody around me, behind me in quite a few laps now. That was silly. I'm scrubbing off too much speed into the corners, hitting every single curb. Burroughs, he didn't dive bomb me. I mean, he cut across my nose, which wasn't nice, but we didn't make contact and I didn't have to lift, so he had enough room to do it. but it definitely wasn't a bomb. Car's already starting to feel a bit lighter, which is getting me in trouble because I'm pushing some of my brake points when I shouldn't be. The downshift prevention into that corner is awful. Almost every single time into that braking zone I have to double downshift because it just misses it. Wow, I get through that corner really well. Not knowing his brake zone, I just took it a little bit easier there. Hey! I did not expect that pass to work. I figured he'd ride me out to the curb and get a better exit. Better there. I might be able to pull away from him, which is weird because he's in an AMG. It seems like he might have a lot of downforce on the car. Because he seems to be understeering quite badly out of the corner and in the high-speed stuff. I'm already further up the pack than I thought I would be. So just the fact that I'm keeping pace with these guys is good. Now the thing to consider is that some of the guys behind, some people may be on different tire compounds. I don't really have time to look at the bottom. I would assume most people are on mediums, but some people might be on different compounds, which is possible. Also, it's worth remembering that some of the people behind that have had incidents might have damage now that will get repaired in the pit stop. So some of the guys behind me right now might be really fast in the second half of the race. So that's definitely a thing to consider. Yeah, Rustler, if you're getting a lot of understeer in high-speed corners, then you actually want to take some downforce off, particularly off the rear, but usually off both in equal proportions, to get the car to turn a little bit better. Because you remember, what downforce does is it pushes the car into the track, so you get more grip from the tires. It doesn't necessarily give the tires more grip than they possibly have, it just means you're using the maximum amount that you have available to you in those high-speed corners. Now if you go into a high-speed corner and you're losing it from the rear, then you need to add downforce to the rear, or take it away from the front to give yourself that balance, depending on what you're looking for. The most important thing, the absolute most important thing with downforce is to get that balance between the front and the rear as steady as it can be, because it affects the way the car feels everywhere else. Particularly with open wheel cars that have wings, that balance is vital to get right between that front and rear. And by right, I mean how you want the car to feel, not necessarily the most optimal difference between the two wings. So if you want a car that understeers a little bit, you'll likely have a bit more rear wing than front wing. If you want a car that oversteers a bit, you'll likely have a higher front wing. Understeer in slow corners you would fix with suspension, ARBs, stuff like that. Yeah, the speed I'm losing on the straights is really detrimental. Both of the cars in front just drive away from me on both straights. Which makes me think they're likely at like zero wing, which zero wing would actually help right here to get the car to turn through that corner better. It would also potentially make you start losing the rear, depending on your setup. Basically, one of the easiest ways to know if downforce is going to help is if you're going through a fast corner and the rear just snaps loose on you, add more downforce. If the car is doing anything, like if you're going through a fast corner and the car slowly loses itself, you probably just need to stiffen it. The only time you really want to add rear downforce is, again, when the car is snapping on you in those really high-speed corners. No, I don't really have a strategy mode for this race. It's basically flat out the whole time. Because it's only a 28 lap race. So it's still effectively just a sprint. Oh, that was much better braking. The more you can straighten that brake zone, the more efficient you can get through it. It's just tough to do it. And then this corner is so awkward because you have to wait so long to turn in, but you have to brake so early. It's just tough. Again, this is one of those weird tracks where it doesn't look interesting when you watch it. It doesn't seem that interesting, but actually driving on it is surprisingly fun. Oh, that was a good exit there. Ooh, those stutters always scare me. On most tracks, those stutters aren't that bad. On this track, if that stutter causes you to accidentally go off track, you lose a lot of time. Yeah, the two in front are driving away, and I'm driving away from the guy behind, so we may have found our little bubble for this race. Ooh, that was an ugly corner. The stutter isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely off-putting. It's so odd. The force feedback on this car is actually pretty light most times, but when you're going through that high-speed section and the car is just understeering, it's like the wheel is trying to rip itself free of your hands. It's so heavy. It's such a neat feeling. And then, if it breaks free, it's the worst feeling in the world because suddenly you just go from super heavy to nothing. Oh, that was not how I should take that. I tried to make an advantage where I shouldn't have. I don't remember what REVS is racing next. Oh, Bahrain Endurance. Yeah, I don't like the Endurance layout of Bahrain. I like the GP layout. The Enduro layout it just adds that little section that's really gross. F1 actually raced on that version of the track once. Just once. And they were like, yeah, let's not do that again. But for endurance racing, it makes a bit more sense because you want... Well, mostly just because it lengthens the track. Which is a little bit better for enduro. Yeah, again, the only bad thing about this track is the off-track areas, but if you just get used to completely not using them at all ever, then it's still pretty good. There's another version of Sochi that doesn't look quite as good, but doesn't have that off-track issue. I would probably recommend that one at this point. Well, with that Bahrain layout, wow, my brain was just not working. With that longer Bahrain layout, it's not the worst thing in the world by any means, but it's just, particularly when you're really used to the regular GP layout, it really throws you off. Because that new section is just, it's not seen very often, and it's really awkward to get through. That should be a good race in the GTE cars, though. I don't think I can take that corner in third gear anymore. I don't think I have the brakes or the tires or the grip. go through there. That one's pretty much always third. I am still pulling away from the guys behind, which surprises me. Because Emmanuel was setting faster times than I was a couple laps ago, but I guess he is battling with Cristo. The amount of understeer I'm getting from the fronts now is kind of worrying. I think I might have burned them a bit too much. Well, I guess I am only 4 laps from my pit stop. 4 to 5. With these cars and these settings of 400% tire wear, I always want to try to go at least 1 lap past halfway. That's usually all you can do, but it means you have so much more tire left at the end of the race than the people who go exactly to halfway in pit. So it's usually worth the really frustrating lap that you have to do on worn tires to get those great tires at the end. On F1 2010, yeah. I don't remember if I played that one. Ooh, Night Race, yes. Night Racing in R Factor 2 looks so good. And it's so much easier on my eyes. Oh, that'd be cool. I would love to see Gordon in Le Mans. I would love to see more NASCAR guys get to do Le Mans. It's one of those things where I wish every major racing series had that entire week preceding and week of. I wish every major racing series had those 2 weeks off. Imagine if we saw like rally drivers in there, and we already see some IndyCar drivers in there, but then we saw like NASCAR drivers, F1. Like imagine if all of those different drivers got seats in there. How cool would that be to watch? Because Le Mans is already awesome, let alone with some of the best talent from other series in there as well. Oh, it'd be so cool. Unfortunately, they all think our series is the best and the only one that matters. Really shouldn't even be that hard to schedule around. I think NASCAR would be the only one that have to change quite a bit, but they can just call it a summer break. IndyCar, I don't even remember if they have a break during that time period. I don't think they do. Yeah, the guys ahead are definitely pulling away. Well, anytime I see those yellow flags, it makes me perk up a bit. Ooh, Emmanuel got by Emmanuel and Sando. I wonder if Rito had to pit or something, because a bunch of people got by him. Which means they'll likely start gaining on me, unfortunately. I don't think there would be space. Well, I guess in Corvette Racing as the 4th driver, I guess they do need 2 4th drivers. I was going to say, they don't have much. I mean, they have 3 permanent drivers for the cars all the time anyway, so. That would make sense, though. Since he's had that relationship with Chevy his entire career. I almost feel like it'd be more likely to see him in the Pro-Am category. In terms of being like a great pro for one of those teams. I really would too. I hope sooner rather than later Button takes the same approach that Weber does and just goes, I'm gonna go have fun somewhere else and get paid the same if not more, and have a hell of a lot more fun doing it. Because I would love to see his personality and his energy in sports car racing. I mean, we'll see though. I have no idea if he's even interested in it at all. But now that Weber has made that transition and stuck to it, I think you'll see more and more drivers starting to do stuff like that. Also, if any of you guys are not aware, Alexander Rossi is going to be in the IndyCar series this year. which should be very interesting to watch. I don't know how well he'll do, but it'll be very, very interesting to see how he does. Because it's not even like he signed with a terrible team, he signed with Andretti Green Racing, which tend to do very, very well. Basically, there's Andretti Green, Rahal Letterman, Penske, and Chip Ganassi. Those are basically the top teams in IndyCar. So if you can sign with one of those, you're gonna get a good car. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Connor does also. I mean, Connor's been in an IndyCar before, but mostly what he was focusing on was Prototype Challenge in IMSA. So I'm interested to see what he's gonna do full time, with that being his main commitment. I don't know either of those names, Rustler. Actually, what license do you need for Le Mans? I'm pretty sure Jeff has it, but I'd be interested to know. Because he hasn't done very much international stuff for a while. I mean, he could probably get his international license in an instant, but I'm just curious if he still has a valid international racing license of any kind. I mean, again, worst case scenario, he doesn't have one and he just goes and gets a bunch of signatures because does it. Oh, I know he loves road racing, I just don't know if he's had the opportunity to do any in recent years. The main reason I know he loves road racing is because he's done the International Race of Champions so many times and done really well there. Oh, okay, GP3 and Formula Renault, okay. It's nice to see more of those international guys taking IndyCar a little more seriously and at least seeing it as a serious potential stepping stone into other stuff. Instead of as this joke side thing that nobody wants to do and nobody dares to. Again, it's so nice to see it. Also, a lot of the IndyCar drivers have really good senses of humor, which is awesome. And IndyCar and the teams allow them to showcase that quite a bit. Which is very, very nice. IndyCar should actually be pretty interesting this year. I'm still not convinced that Carmen Jorda is as terrible and awful as everybody tries to make her out to be. I don't think she's as quick as she needs to be to actually get the seats that she's getting. I think her sponsorship marketability and really just her sponsorship and marketability are opening her more doors than her raw speed. But again, if she literally can't perform at all, then you're not going to have that person. Even pay drivers drive well enough. And yeah, I knew Gordon almost went to F1. But again, Jeff Gordon is an exceptional driver, period. I mean, many of the NASCAR drivers are very, very good. Like Jimmy Johnson likely could jump in almost anything and drive it very quickly. Tony Stewart, I know, drives a whole bunch of varied stuff. Jeff Gordon, again. There's quite a few. I'm missing a bunch of names, but there's quite a few of them that easily could jump in other stuff. And there's also some that you would toss in something else and they'd be like, what? Why doesn't it turn left? so it depends. I mean, I think the fact that Kimi Räikkönen did so poorly in the trucks is evidence that it's difficult enough, and that it requires a very different skill set and approach than road racing does. So the people who can do both very well are very, very good at crafting a race. Oh, Ekin's got a penalty. Alright, now, we either pit this lap or the lap after. I think we might pit the lap after because the car still feels nice, and I have enough fuel for it. Wait, Allmendinger came from kart? Really? I didn't know that. I mean, you can't say Jimmy Johnson is good because of Jeff. Jimmy Johnson's just good. Like, there's no qualifier needed on that. I mean, that's like trying to say that Michael Schumacher is good because of all of the drivers he learned from. Well, of course. But he was also Michael Schumacher. And I say that in terms of not pure driving ability. I say that in terms of what they've accomplished in their respective sports. Because what Jimmy accomplished is very similar to the dominance that Schumacher brought. Not quite to the same extreme, but very similar. Where his team, his engineers, and he himself really understood the wing as opposed to the spoiler so much better. Wow, the cars ahead have really, really opened a gap on me. Or they've all pitted, both of which are equally possible. Oh, in terms of that, yes. Jeff Gordon definitely made him better. And, again, Jimmy took full advantage of that. He knew who Jeff Gordon was and what he was capable of and the skills that he had, and took full advantage of being able to mine that resource for information. And a lot of people underestimate how important being able to build those relationships really is. I mean, just look at Sebastian Vettel. The instant he joined Ferrari, everybody on that team instantly loved him and still do. They adore him as a driver and as a person. And they'll do nearly anything to get his car to be faster and to get him to be faster. We're definitely going to pit this lap. Trying to think how much fuel. I think we're going to stay the same on fuel. It's way too safe, but it is what it is. Yeah, the fronts are just not grippy enough anymore. I'm definitely losing too much time. At the end of this race, I'm going to have much, much better tires. I think I've got a little bit of damage to repair. It shouldn't take too long. But the front just isn't turning for me anymore, so definitely need to bring it in. Now, he would still have... I mean, he would still have many, many, many championships. Again, you have to remember that during that wing era, it wasn't just his driving. He understood the wing, the team understood... I mean, look at the other teams in Hendrick Motorsport. None of them dominated that era like Jimmy Johnson's team did. They were all good through that time period, but his driving style, the way he understood that, worked really, really well. I mean, it's impossible to say how many it would or wouldn't have been. Again, it's like saying, what if Adrian Newey had never gone to Ferrari? Again, not that Jeff Gordon built the Hendrick cars. Alright, I have to remember to pit. Hopefully that pit preview thing works. So I have to suddenly set up my pit. It's gonna be frustrating. Now, do I still have to click it? I do. Oh, I don't! Oh, that pit config is so good! I don't even have to click it, it just does it all. Oh, get that app for Assetto Corsa. If you do anything at all that revolves around pit stops, get that pit config app. That is so good. I didn't even have to click the box. Also, on the bright side, my my repairs were short enough that we actually didn't lose any time because the repairs went on while the refueling was still happening. Oh, Risto got me there. I guess that depends on if he's stopped or not. If he's on hards, he probably hasn't. It's just so hard for me to see because my wheel covers the bottom of the screen, right where I would need to look. Yeah, it's not like Blancpain. In Assetto Corsa, they do all the work at once. So the fuel goes in at the same time as the tires, at the same time as the repairs go on. Now, the car will be much heavier, but it actually seems to like being a bit heavier. Oh, man. I also have to remember the balance is going to be a little bit different because I did have some damage to the rear. It wasn't much, but it was enough to affect the car a little bit. God, now the car is so much sharper on turning. I'm not expecting it. So I'm turning in too early, expecting it to wash out the whole way around, and it's just not anymore. I should probably try and baby these tires a little bit, but I'm not going to. I should probably do this thing that would be really, really helpful, but nah. Let's just do the dumb thing instead. Sounds like a good plan. I really don't know if Earnhardt can ever put together a good enough year to actually win the championship. Or win another one. I don't remember if he's done it yet or not. He just seems so inconsistent race to race. And that may have changed in the past 3 or 4 years since I've watched. But in the past, that was always the case. I'm down in 9th now. Alright, Aristo is on the hards. So he may have already stopped and it was just for fuel. Or he may have not even... No, you have to at least take some fuel. Actually, you have to take quite a bit of fuel. Well, we're definitely gaining on him, though. Though I think Steve is also gaining on me. I think there's quite a few guys ahead of me who have not pitted, though. That still need to. Again, I only took 110. You can take up to 125 liters. So I did not take a full tank at the beginning. So if somebody took a completely full tank, they could probably go 2 to 3 more laps than what I went. So again, any of the people on hards likely took an entire fuel tank an entire tank aren't going to change tires. Well, it's odd that he pulls away from me. Because earlier on in the race, Risto was not that fast in a straight line. Or maybe he just wasn't... Maybe he wasn't in his rhythm yet. That's always a possibility. Steve is definitely right on my bumper though. Ugh. That last corner is so not good for me. Yeah, but the first race of the season is Daytona. I don't really... Unless his first race was other than that. Why is my braking suddenly wrong for that corner? Causing me to lose so much time to Steve. Can you see how much time he lost behind me just getting his tire on that off-track area ever so slightly? Just destroys your speed. Ah. Really bring my speed down to keep it on the inside there. Oh, I got a good exit. This is turning into quite the battle here. Ah, no, he got me. I have not had to brake side by side for that corner at all. So I had no idea how to do that. That's fine though. He's definitely faster. Just the fact that I was able to keep him behind for as many corners as I did was good. Again, I have zero practice braking side by side for that corner, so I definitely got it wrong. Which is fine. Was that Risto?
Was me right?
That is, yeah. He's finally taking his pit stop. Which means many people are probably going to be finishing their final stops. So we should pick up a couple positions throughout this lap, I think.
Thanks,
There's at
Mark.
least 2 people in there.
Okay.
God, Steve just roars away on the straight. That's better. That's much better through that corner. Yet again, this is where it would have been nice if I had been able to actually see other cars on track during practice. Because I would have instantly recognized, okay, I probably need to go to a 0 rear wing, considering how much top speed these guys will have. Well, you gotta have to remember, Risto was on hard tires. So his overall pace was always going to be a bit slower. Hey, Fabio.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Again, I'm keeping up with Steve better than I thought I would. But both straights, he just powers away. Basically, immediately out of the corner. And then I never get to a point where I catch up. I mean, you would suspect that I would have some sort of advantage under braking, but I really kind of don't. Actually, it looks like I might have a bit of an advantage under braking. I just can't do much with it. Because those 2 straights tend to be pretty good overtaking opportunities. I'm still surprised that 2 clicks of rear wing makes that big of a difference. Unless the Z4 is just fast in a straight line, which is also possible. I know the Nissan is the fastest in the straight line, or Nissan. No worries, Poppin. That's how I want to take that corner every time. I feel like I'm not braking at any different point, but I must be. To be taking it that much better. It'll really cut it back into it. There's so much grip right in the middle of that corner. I don't know if there's supposed to be, but there is. When I get through that corner well, it feels so good. I don't do it very often, but when I do, it feels amazing. Same with this one. When you get that exit just right, it feels really, really good. Now I guess more than anything it's going to come down to, does anybody in front of me still have to pit? Actually, I guess it doesn't matter, because everybody's so far ahead. So now I just have to hold off Thomas behind me. Just put in some decent laps here. Finish the race off well. Yeah, I really do catch Steve. As soon as we drop out of the... Dude, this section in particular, unless I do that. The stupid sausage curves, man. But once you hit it, there's so little you can do. You're just on for the ride. Along for the ride. Unfortunately, now he's going to get a draft on me. At my same breakpoint, the car just did not stop. I didn't even feel like I was going any faster. That was so awkward. I mean, I would have said, in like an F1 car or an open wheel car with a wing, I would have said, oh, it took off my front downforce, but this car doesn't, I don't have any front downforce on it. So that was just really awkward. Oh well. I think he's faster than Steve, though. Well, the old McLaren was really slow in a straight line. This one, still a little bit, but not nearly as bad. Yeah, I guess a track like this is not ideal for it. Blue flag, is that the leader? No, the flag was just freaking out. Alright. Oh, mistake from Thomas. Unfortunately, in this part of the track, I can't capitalize because they all just pull away. Why is it showing me blue flags? There's nobody anywhere near me. I mean, the leader is behind me now, but it's showing me the blue flag way in advance. That is true, Rustler. That's That's a different version of the car set up differently in real life, though. These two battle, it's actually good for me. I don't like the fact that it's showing me the blue flags so early. I mean, he's still 2 seconds back. This is such a bad time for him to be catching us. Oh, balls. I'll have to look at that afterwards. I was mostly concentrating on Romano behind me, so I don't actually know if that was my fault or not. It very possibly is. I'll have to look afterwards. Because I was mostly looking at my rearview mirror. Because I did not want to ruin first place. Somehow I got almost no damage out of that, though. That was a very bad confluence of events, where the leader was catching us and the three of us were all battling for the same position. From what I saw in a split second, I'm guessing I probably should have pulled more to the right. But again, by the time I looked forward, I had already made contact with Steve. The car doesn't want to turn like it did earlier. I mean, the other tough part is, on this track, unfortunately, the people who are off track want to get back on track immediately, because the off track just is stupid and slow. And it literally just saps power from your engine. Whereas I think normally in that situation, Steve probably would have just stayed off track a little bit further and just come back on a little bit later. I have a G27. Oh, did Steve have to go in the pits? Oh, if he actually had to pit, that makes me feel even worse. Oh, no, he's still my relative, so he didn't have to pit. Oh, that T300 looks good. If I had the money, I would definitely get a belt-driven wheel of some kind. Those stutters are awful. I don't know if I'm the only one getting them or what, but it's really not good. I mean, I don't notice my ping doing anything weird when it happens. It just seems to happen about twice per event. I just said I don't have the money, and then you suggest a wheel. Like, I don't have the money. Oh, that was close. I don't know if he just has more grip than I do right now or what. And he was either able to take that corner faster or just missed his braking point. I mean, if somebody wants to buy me a belt-driven wheel, by all means. Oh, my car is not happy in fast corners anymore. Which unfortunately there's quite a few of around here. Oh, I guess Zachary is on the front of the pack. Well, in terms of the pedals, I could just keep using the G27 pedals. That doesn't really matter. It's just the wheel itself. I'd just like to have a belt-driven wheel. I am not pulling away from Risto like I was at the before. Like I've got more damage than it feels like, probably to aero stuff. It's even more. It's impacting my top speed negatively even more than before. But I definitely have a lot more understeer in a lot of places than I did earlier. Now that would have been a dive bomb if he kept going for that. Yeah, if your first wheel is a belt-driven wheel, that's pretty nice. I mean, look how far down on top speed I am now. Good lord. I have to lift here even in fourth. Before it was just when I got into fifth a tiny bit, I had to lift. Try and find a spot that makes sense to let Zach by. Maybe Maybe this little short shoot. Really stay off throttle there. I was actually trying to give him a clean exit. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work the way I really wanted it to. But that's still one of the better places to let him by, because I'm not sacrificing my straightaway here. But I inadvertently sacrificed his a little bit. Basically, if it's possible to let somebody by into a slow corner, it's definitely the optimal place to do it. Oh, Burrow's behind me is actually for position now. Oh, is that the race over? Oh, that is the race over. Because I got lapped, so we don't have to do the last lap. So it'll actually show me in a different position than the end results do. Ugh, that was disappointing. Again, but more than anything, I'm amazed with how my top speed was so much lower. I wondered why Burrows was being so aggressive there in those last two corners. I didn't even recognize that it was the last two corners of the race. Still racing. Peter didn't take part. Nathan finished. So I guess some of these guys are doing their last laps, even though they don't have to. Looks like. So Emmanuel, Steve, and Nathan are all still doing their last lap.
The racing's over.
But the race itself is actually over now.
Yep. Not quite.
Yes, it is.
It's one of the things I'd really like to see them fix in Assetto Corsa, where if you're a lap behind when you cross the finish line on the next to last lap, it should end your race. In terms of the actual results, it does. The reported results. It actually does end your race at that point.
Damn.
Damn. Fault me, Matthias had done it.
I could tell that.
Sorry to everyone. I tried to keep out people's way.
Hey, Steve-O.
I had an issue with the angry hamster.
Oh.
Microphone activated.
Yeah, my bad, I think. I think I was, with my tyres going, I was late on the throttle. And I think he was, caught my rear. My fault, not his.
I was literally about to apologize from my side too, so I think it's probably a racing incident. I was looking in my mirror so hard to make sure I didn't impact Romano, and then I looked forward and we were making contact. I was like, no.
Yeah, it was my bad, mate. I tyres had had it. I pitted on lap 10, I think it was. See.
Yes, you did.
All good either way from my view, though.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That was tough. That was tough racing. That was.
I saw some fantastic racing across the board there.
That was the worst experience I think I've had in AC since I bought it. No, just I think it's this program, Steve.
Oh, my wheel's a bit strong.
I was suffering, mate.
Input lag and network lag.
Yeah, I was suffering.
7th spot, my best result ever on REVS.
Well done, Emmanuel.
Nice,
Thank you
Emmanuel.
very much.
Well done.
I think I hit Nathan early on, and I mean, it was after that I was trying to keep away from people. But Nathan
I still want to look because I still think that was
side. We were level,
at least partially
and
my
then
own
he's
fault.
halfway merged in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a wee thing. Sorry.
From my point of view, that didn't happen like that, Mark. Two cars came together trying to fit into one space. There was no warp or anything.
Yeah, I was seeing cars jumping around all over the place. But I was having lag, even with the sounds and the.
Oh, you guys can't see that.
The lights on the dash. They're going green, green, blue.
Yeah.
Night, guys.
Cheers, Hundo.
Cheers,
Nice
really.
one, Sunday.
Good night.
Yeah.
So my fastest lap, 218.
Okay, then if
Steve's fastest,
this,
270.
is causing performance issues, Mark, next race, run without it.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Yeah. I had, what were you having, like stutter and judder every now and again?
It wasn't stuttering, it was just going sort of slow. And I could hear it. I mean, sometimes it just wasn't even accepting my input from the wheel or the pedal.
Yeah. Well, I haven't noticed any changes in R factor, but I have in Assetto Corsa. I have the stutters back again. I thought it was my imagination, but no, it could be the program.
But it's weird. It's not like traditional stutter, you know, that you get from a network.
Yeah.
Type of thing, or if your CPU's running too hard.
212.
It's very difficult. It's like a very soft stutter.
I'm going to go ahead and mute them real quick while I check out the replay. I still think I am likely at least partially to blame for it, which, considering he thought it was also his fault, my guess is it's probably going to end up being a racing incident, but we'll see. Again, judging from when I mentioned Romano and then he immediately was like, yep, I think all three of us were likely looking into our rearview mirrors pretty hardly. So, that makes me feel better about that incident. I think it was like... I need to find right here. So it's going to be in this area. Yeah, this is likely going to be very close to it. Oh, this is the corner right here. Oh, he went wide there. Yeah. So basically, because I was looking in my mirror, it ended up being very, very bad. So again, this entire time, I'm looking in my rearview mirror to make sure that I'm not impacting him. Right here is about when I start looking forward. And then that's... Oh, wow. We were actually pretty far apart there anyway. Because again, when in this track in particular, once you go off track, you start slowing down immensely, and the car starts to over-rotate. Wow, he really, really missed the exit of that corner. Ugh. Again, I could have been lifting there or decelerate. I was concentrating too much at the rear. So that's definitely something I'll have to keep in mind with in the future. I want to look at my pedals real quick. I don't remember at the moment what I did. I think I just accelerated all the way out. Oh, I actually almost clipped that corner. Yeah, I was full throttle the whole time, so I definitely could have. I did again. You could see when I looked forward because I completely lift. So that is actually mostly my fault. So I will mention that on the forum. It's also possible that it looked very different from his view. So I'll have to keep that in mind. But that was almost entirely my own fault. Because at any time here, I could have lifted. Now, in a regular race, where the off-track area doesn't rip his speed out, this incident doesn't happen. Because if he isn't slowing down from that off-track, he just accelerates out like normal, misses the corner a little bit, and we don't even make contact. But that is literally basically 99% me. Because from here out, I can lift. Again, the reason I didn't lift is because I was so worried about not taking out the person that was in first place behind me. That was the absolute last thing I wanted to do. So in doing that, I ended up ignoring what was in front of me, which was not good. It would have been interesting if I had lifted, it would have been interesting if Romano had lifted also. I think he had a big enough gap, it probably wouldn't have mattered, but it was definitely not good. He made it through unscathed, though, surprisingly enough. I just want to see how pretty this car looks from the outside for one lap. It is a very good looking car. Also, it's really hot here now. I turn TeamSpeak back on.
No front wing. I tried that diff thing to stop the car from rotating, to try and keep it straight. I tried to fiddle with the anti-roll bars, but I'm not entirely sure, because the more it rolls, the more it wants to slide.
Yeah.
But the stiffer it is,
the more you burn your tyres.
Yeah, green.
Are you turning your wheel too far?
I'm not even hitting the limit. Like, I never go full lock, mainly because this wheel has some weird thing where if you hit the full lock,
love that
it
glow
bounces
from
back and it's really loud, and I don't like it.
What wheel have you got?
The Club Sport V2.
What rotation do you set it at?
Only 420, and I know that's too small, but like...
Yeah, that's...
that will do it.
Yeah, but I just can't use it anymore. It's got like one of a massive...
I used to be like that, Ross. I always used to run around sometimes
when I get that
270
exit right,
because I came from a Momo and whatever. And then I slowly went up to something like 300 and odd, and then I got the T500, and now I just run 900 on everything, and I just adjust it with the setup, and it's more precise, smoother.
With this Assetto, unlike R Factor, doesn't have a steering lock that you can mess about with. Like in R Factor, you can change your degrees of rotation on the lock. What Assetto does is, at your maximum rotation of the wheel, it sets it to the maximum rotation of the car itself and what the car can actually do. So you'll have one-to-one steering.
These cars look pretty on here.
Maximum, and it will feel weird as fuck when you first start. You'll be like, oh my god, it feels like a barge. And then over time, you'll get that used to it, and you'll find that you won't burn your tyres out as much.
Yeah, when I transitioned to this, I had to step up. My older Fanatec wheel, I used to run as low as like 290.
Those curves.
Yeah.
But that was simply because I was on Sim Raceway, and every single millisecond counted until it died. Anyway,
I'm gonna go ahead and jump off TeamSpeak since they're just talking about that sort of stuff. Not bad. If I cleaned up. If I cleaned up some of those laps, I think it could have been a slightly better result. But all in all, I mean, not bad. There was that one incident, and like I said, that's... After reviewing it, it'll be interesting to see what Steve's replay shows. But again, from my view, I'll definitely knock up an apology of some kind on there. Because again, the reason it happened was because I was looking at the rear, but that doesn't make it any less my fault. Because at any point during that situation, I could have lifted, gotten the car to turn a bit more to the right, even slightly dabbed the brake. And all of that would have been mostly reasonable for Romano behind me to react to without much incident. But any of those would have been preferable to making contact with Steve and both of us coming around. That being said, we definitely weren't as close as the game thought we were, because when we made contact, we definitely weren't right next to each other. But regardless of all of that, it was still... I had plenty of opportunity to avoid it, and I didn't. So it is 99% on me for that one. And Steve will probably think more of that when he looks at the replay, or if he looks at the replay. He'll probably notice that. The crazy thing is, again, it's one of those events where I didn't even, in the moment, I was concentrating so hard on the car behind me, I didn't even look forward and notice what was happening until I heard and felt the contact, and I was like, oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. See, this is what I was talking about, though. At this point in the race, I was able to drive by Hristo and just pull away. So I think after that contact, those little taps on the wall, I think they did a lot more than I thought they did. Because at the end of the race, Hristo was able to just drive around me like I was standing still. I think it was the next to last lap, yeah. So coming onto the main straight here, he just pulls around my car like I'm sitting still, which you'll see. I can't do anything about it. Just womp. I mean, you can see the difference there. And I still have to brake really early for this corner up here. I mean, visually, it doesn't even look like there's any dents on my car. That's the crazy thing. But damage is set to 100% for these, so. So even if you don't hit anything at all and you use very little curbs, you'll still have a tiny bit of suspension damage by the time you come in. But it was understeering real heavy at the end there. I also want to see this real quick, because I want to see what it looks like from the outside here with how I let Zach by. Because in our factor, the way I was letting people by was complained about by at least one of them. Nobody else mentioned it yet, but so I'm interested to see what this looks like from this perspective. Yeah, see, to me, that's so much easier to let a driver by that way. Because it's already a slow corner, it doesn't impact either of our races that much, and if I just don't turn in, it should be really obvious. I mean, it'll almost look like a mistake instead. But I'm not going to dive for that apex, so that person can just jump right towards it. As if I wasn't even there. I don't know, I just feel like that's so much better than all of the time you lose lifting on a straight to let somebody by. And again, I didn't even realize this was the last lap, and Burrows really pushes hard in these last two corners. He's lucky I left room there. I probably shouldn't have. 'Cause that was really late. That was really, really... Well, to be nice, we will call it optimistic. I mean, to stay out to the side there, even though you're never even alongside. Benefit of the doubt, it's entirely possible it looked different from his screen than mine. That is always a possibility with Assetto Corsa. That is not what I wanted. Yeah, here he should tuck back in. The fact that he was still off to the side, trying to make me leave room is not. If I had 3 monitors, I would have been able to see that he was nowhere near right here, and I would have just cut across. But again, the fact that I only have 1 means I just took the safe approach and left room. It's a hard corner to pass through anyway, but as I say, that's opportunistic at the best of times. Actually, I'm curious what the start looked like also. And then after this, we'll transition to other things. Still not quite sure what I really want to do for the rest of today. Sando got such a good start. I seemed to get a decent enough start though. I couldn't see the brake zone at all, so I started braking real early. By the way, that's what every race start should look like. No contact whatsoever. People at the back, decelerating more. No, I don't need to practice for that event. It's just the GT86 around Grobnik. I mean, I guess I can do a little bit of that, but it's not something that you really need to practice for. God, it's so hot. Ugh.